Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making shrimp summer rolls, but I wanted to do a little twist on these. So to start this dish, I'm going to pickle some vegetables. So to a saucepan, I'm adding 1 cup of vinegar. I have a mix of apple cider and white, but use whatever you have on hand. Adding 1 cup of water, 1 bay leaf, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of rock sugar. You can use regular if that's what you have. 2 slightly smashed cloves of garlic, as well as 2 teaspoons of peppercorns. I'm using white here, but if you have black peppercorns, that works just as well. So just bring that to a boil and then lower it to a simmer and let it sit for 15 minutes. Now for the vegetables, I have these gorgeous radishes and white turnips that came in my farm share box. So I'm thinly slicing these on a mandolin. You can definitely just slice these by hand if you don't have a mandolin, and if you're using a mandolin, just be very careful. It's easy to slip and hurt yourself. I'm just going to pop these into a bowl while we julienne up some rainbow carrots. I try to get rainbow carrots if I can, just because they are just so beautiful, and I say it every time, but they're just lovely, and I try to get them whenever I can. So now we're going to just pour our hot pickling liquid straight over our vegetables. And we're going to let this sit and come to room temperature, and then we're going to pop them in the fridge overnight. Just make sure all of your vegetables are submerged in your pickling liquid. So I gave this a little taste and I realized it was missing heat. So I just grabbed a serrano pepper and I'm using my handy kitchen shears just to cut that straight into our vegetables, and that can pickle overnight as well. So now it's the next day. I have 1 pound of shrimp that I've shelled and deveined, which I didn't show you because you've seen me do it a dozen times. Adding that to some boiling water just to poach them until they're almost fully cooked, because we're going to cook them a little bit more later. So I'm going to pop these right into some ice water so it stops the cooking process. And then we're going to take them out of the ice water and dry them off. I'm using tiger shrimp, so these are very big. So we're going to cut these in half, and to do that I'm just laying my hand flat on top of the shrimp and running that knife through exactly where I split the shrimp to devein it. Then we're going to sprinkle over a tablespoon of sesame and just let that marinate for a minute. Now we're going to make spicy shrimp. So to a saucepan I'm adding 1 tablespoon of gochujang, 1 tablespoon of honey, and a 1/4 cup of light soy sauce. We're going to mix this together and bring it up to a simmer. I gave this a taste and added 1/2 tablespoon more of honey because it needed a little bit more sweetness. Once it's come up to a simmer, we're going to add in our shrimp. This is why we par-cooked it and we didn't cook it all the way through, because it's going to cook a little bit more in this heat and we don't want to overcook the shrimp. We're just going to give that a little toss just to coat everything in this spicy sauce, and then take it off the stove and set this aside and let it rest. Now I have a 1/2 package of glass noodles just pouring over some boiling water. We're going to let this sit for 10 minutes just to rehydrate. After 10 minutes, we're going to take it out of the hot water, rinse it under cold water, and set it aside, but don't throw away our hot water. We're going to use that. Now for our nak chum sauce, I have 3 tablespoons of fish sauce, 3 tablespoons of sugar that I'm just mixing in with a 1/2 cup of lime juice. And then we're going to chop a little serrano chili and put this into the sauce as well. You can use as much or as little as you'd like, depending on your spicy level. Now let's move on to the filling. I have just a little hothouse cucumber that we're going to chop up into small matchsticks, or julienne if you prefer that term. We have some mint here. We need about 1/2 cup of mint. We also need a 1/2 cup of basil. This basil is huge. I've been growing it in my arrow garden, so I'm just going to cut this in half. And we also need a 1/2 cup of cilantro. And we're also going to need some leafy lettuce. I'm going to use Boston or gem lettuce, but use whatever lettuce you have on hand. So now that our glass noodles have cooled down, I'm just, again, using my handy kitchen shears to cut these in half because glass noodles are pretty long and we want them in manageable pieces. So we have our pickles, we have our shrimp, our lettuce, our basil, cucumber, glass noodle, mint, and cilantro. Now in that reserved water, take one rice paper sheet, dip it in. You don't have to do it for a while, just dip it in quickly. This gets pretty sticky quickly. So to assemble this, you can assemble it in whatever order you want. Most people put the shrimp up first. I just wanted to make a little pretty design with our pickled radishes and turnips. Gonna layer 3 shrimp on top of this. Adding the little julienne cucumbers, as well as our pickled carrot. We got a little serrano in that one, so that's going to be a spicy roll. Layering on this vibrant, beautiful basil. Adding on mint and cilantro. Layering on a little layer of glass noodle, and last but not least, a piece of bib lettuce. Just take one side, stretch it over, stretch over the other side. This will stick very quickly because this is a sticky roll. Then I'm just taking both sides and making this as tight as possible because we want a nice little gift to ourselves. So let's see the cross section of this. Cutting this on the bias because it looks prettier, and that is beautiful. Now let's give these a taste. You get the pickle and crunch from those vegetables and all that herbaceous freshness from the mint, cilantro, basil, and that crunch from the piblets as well, and that sweet, spicy shrimp. This is even good without the sauce, but the gochujang is perfect as well. But there it is, a spicy shrimp summer rolls. I hope you guys try to make it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you loved it, subscribe and hit that notification bell because I put out new videos every Thursday. Until next time, happy cooking. Why do we even need knives when we have kitchen scissors that work beautifully?